Good morning, fourth graders. Today we are going to be looking at our close read text. We are going to be in this packet right here. It says week 4. The dates are wrong, so you can cross those out. But it's unit 5, week 4. We're going to be flipping over to the text, Woman Who Helped Anne Frank Dies at 100. So we're going to be looking at this text today. Before we do, I just wanted to walk you through kind of what I am expecting from you guys from the front. So after we're done reading our text today, I want you to go back and fill in the Venn diagram here at the bottom, comparing Anne Marie and the woman we're going to read about today, Mike Guise. Before you do that this week, also you need to fill out your definitions and you need to do your closed sentences at the front that go with our vocabulary words. Okie dokie. I hope you guys have had a great week so far. You are going to definitely need your knowledge that you've gained about Anne Frank and the Holocaust as we read our text today. This text is going to be focused on not Anne Frank herself, but the woman who actually helped to hide the Frank family during their time when they were trying to escape from the Nazis. And so we're going to learn about her and her heroism and just all the brave things that she did during that time. So last week, when we were reading Number the Stars, we found out that we are now at a point in our story when Ellen and her family are in danger in Denmark. And Anne Marie's family is now making sure that they're hiding Ellen and trying to help Ellen's family escape to safety. And so this act that they're doing, this sacrificing of their own safety for their friend's safety, this was not uncommon during the time of the Holocaust, during the time of the Nazi takeover during World War II. And so there are so many accounts in history of people being brave and standing up for others during the Holocaust, and that really ties into our unit that we've been studying and thinking about rights and responsibilities of humans and who is responsible for protecting human rights when they're being violated. And so as we read today, really think about those things as how are these people who are helping the Jews, how are they really taking responsibility and standing up for these human rights and that sort of thing. So as we read today, I want you to think about that, but I also want you to think about how are these experiences, again, similar to our story of Number the Stars. So we're going to be noticing some similarities between the two texts, and I want you guys to be thinking about those as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We want to make sure that we identify our genre first. This one is a little bit different. You'll see it set up slightly different. It almost looks like a script, so we could maybe think it was that it was fiction just because we see these people saying things like a script will be. But this is actually not a script, it's an interview. And so I guess you could say it's a script for an interview, but it is a account of somebody interviewing Miss Guise during her time before she passed away. So we're going to read this introduction piece right here. This is going to be really key to help us understand that this is nonfiction. Mike Guise was the last survivor to help Anne Frank's family hide out during the Holocaust. Guise was interviewed by NPR's Terry Schultz for her amazing act of bravery in 1998. She was interviewed. And upon her death in 2010, NPR revisited the interview. Anne Frank was a German-born Jewish girl who hid with her family in an attic in Amsterdam during the Holocaust. She is one of the most famous victims of the Holocaust thanks to the discovery of her diary, which her father and Holocaust survivor Otto Frank published after the Holocaust. Today, Anne's diary is one of the most well-read works of literature in the world. As we read, annotate for details that reveal Guise's character and motives. So as we read today, we're going to learn a lot about Guise. We're going to learn about who she was as a person and learn a lot about her character. But we know that this happened in real life, so this is a nonfiction text. And our topic is going to be the life of Mike Guise. And our key question: what is the author, and put a TM for teaching me about my guys. Okay, so as we read, we're definitely going to be thinking about that as we go. What is the author teaching me about my guys? So let's go ahead and read paragraph 1. The last survivor who helped Anne Frank and her family hide from the Nazis has died. My guys was 100. After the Franks were discovered and deported, it was Guys who found and preserved Anne's diary. This word preserved here, go ahead and circle it. This is important. It means to keep safe or in good condition. So she kept Anne's diary safe and in good condition so that it could be published later. Okay. Deborah Amos, host. Back in 1998, NPR special correspondent Susan Stamberg visited a woman in Amsterdam and asked her a simple question. Susan Stamberg, how do you say diary in Dutch? Ms. Mike Guys, dagboek. Stamberg, dagboek. Oh, daybook. Yeah, Ms. Guys. Yes, daybook. Stamberg, dog. Ms. Guys, yes. Stamberg, boek. Ms. Guys, boek. Stamberg is diary. That woman is Mike Guys. The diary she's referring to is Anne Frank's. Mike Guys helped Anne Frank hide with her family during World War II and saved Anne's diary after she and her family were captured by the Germans. Guys died yesterday at the age of 100. Terry Schultz has this remembrance. So right here, I'm going to stop for a second before we go into our next section. And what the author is teaching me right now is that my guys helped to hide the Franks. So I'm just going to put MG for my guys because when I'm doing my annotations, I want to shorten them as much as possible. Helped hide the Franks, and we'll say during the war. Give you a second to write your own annotation. Okay, let's keep going. And right here, I see remembrance. So what this tells me is that this interview that we're going to read about isn't necessarily happening at that moment, but Terry Schultz is telling a story of what he experienced during that time. Or she, I'm not actually sure. Okay, Terry Schultz. My guy says she did not like being called a hero, yet she risked her life many times over to help the Frank family during the 2 years they hid from the Nazis in a secret annex built into the trading company office in Amsterdam where she worked for Otto Frank for almost a decade. Pause right here for just a second. I see two things that the author is telling me right here about my guys. One, she did not like being called a hero, but two, that she risked her life. Okay, let's keep going. Providing refuge to Jews, she noted, later carried a punishment of at least 6 months in a concentration camp. Still, the Austrian-born Dutchwoman, knighted by the governments of Germany and the Netherlands, recipient of the Medal of the Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum, always insisted that she had done nothing extraordinary. This word extraordinary just means amazing or out of the ordinary. So she is saying that her bravery was not an extraordinary thing. So right here, the author is teaching me, and I'm going to use these underlined sections that I just read that I underlined to help me come up with an annotation. Okay, but she's saying that she did not act like a hero, or that she did not feel like she was a hero, but we think that she acted like one. So I'm just going to NG for my guys. She acted like a hero, but she did not feel like she was one. Okay. What she's saying here is that She acted like a hero, but she didn't feel personally like she was one. She felt like she had a responsibility to take care of others. And we're going to keep reading as we go, but really think about that. She felt like she had a responsibility to stand up for the Franks and for her friends. And this really goes back into our unit that we've been talking about, sharing the planet and how people interact with systems and how they impact our world and each other. And so when we think about human rights and responsibilities, thinking about that, she didn't feel like this was anything extra she was called to do. She felt like it was her responsibility as a human to help others. Ms. Mike, guys, I myself, I'm just a common person. I simply had no choice. I could foresee many, many sleepless nights and a life filled with regret if I would have refused to help the Franks. And this was not the kind of life I was looking for at all. Schultz. Guys explained another motivation for emphasizing her modesty. She said, if people are allowed to think it takes remarkable qualities to act boldly on behalf of others, few will attempt it. Ms. Guys, people should never think that you have to be a very special person to help those who need you. Pause right here. So as we're reading, I was noticing some really important things. I noticed that she says it does not take remarkable qualities to act boldly, that you don't have to be a very special person to help others in need. And so what the author is teaching me right here is it does not take special skills to be brave. Okay, let's keep reading. But Guys was clearly was very special, even when someone still unknown betrayed those she called the hiders and they were taken away at gunpoint to death camps. Guys was not intimidated. She sneaked back into the secret hideaway to try and preserve any belongings of the Franks that hadn't been destroyed or taken. Again, we see that word preserve that we looked at earlier. And there she found what would eventually become a treasure of the entire world. Right here, she says she found a treasure. We know that that treasure was not gold or jewels or any kind of money, but it came in the form of a book. Ms. Guys, I saw Aunt's diary scattered all over the floor. I took it with me. I hoped I could return it to Anne after the war. I wanted to see her smile and say, "Oh, my diary." Right here, the author is teaching me that Mike Guy saved Anne's diary. I'll give you just a second to finish your own annotations. That day would never come, as Anne did not survive the Nazi death camps. But Otto Frank did, and he made his way back to Amsterdam in 1945, returning to stay with Guys and her husband. On the very sad day that year, that he learned both his daughters had died in a camp. Otto Frank later explained in a documentary, Guys delivered him what he called a miracle. Mr. Otto Frank. When I returned and after I heard the news that my children would not come back, Mike gave me the diary. Schultz. Guys described that moment herself years ago in an interview with the Anne Frank Museum in Amsterdam. Guy said she took the diary out of the desk where she'd saved it, and she handed it to Otto Frank with the words, "This is the legacy of your daughter, Anne." She had never read a word of it, and in fact, she could not bring herself to do so until after Otto Frank had published a diary in 1947, 2 years after Anne's death. The Diary of Anne Frank is a legacy Mike Guys gave not just to Otto Frank, but to the world. It's been translated into some 65 languages and remains one of the best read books internationally. To the end of her century of life, Guy said she thought with sadness every day about the friend she had lost. On her website, she wrote it was her greatest sorrow that she and the others had been unable to save Anne, but she was pleased they've been able to give the young woman 2 more years of life. And in that period, Guys noted, Anne had written the diary with her message of tolerance and understanding. For NPR News, I'm Terry Schultz. So pause right here for a second. Up here, I'm going to write a separate teach me that I meant to write, but I forgot. So right here, before Schultz starts to describe what Guys was telling her about, or telling him about giving the diary, I noticed that the author was teaching me that Mike Guys gave the diary to Otto after the war. Okay. And then as I was finishing up this last section, I was thinking about Mike Guys herself and really thinking about what was the author teaching me about her. And I was thinking, I learned 2 things here. That she thought with sadness every day about the friends she had lost. So she has never fully recovered from the loss of her friends. She grieves their loss every day. But she was happy that she was pleased or happy that she had been able to help them as much as she could. And so right here, when the author is teaching me, notice how I went back into my text and underlined these pieces before I did my annotation, just to help me really understand what I was reading. Mike Guys, she mourned her friends, but was thankful. Whoops. She was able to save Anne's diary. So I'm going to let you finish up your annotation right now. What I want you to do today, normally I've been giving you guys the big idea. I think the best place to write the big idea is going to be right here. I've been giving you guys the big idea, but what I'd like for you to do today, instead of me writing the big idea for you, I would like you to write your own big idea and take them to small groups with your teachers during your Zoom meetings, and share what you wrote for your big idea and go over them. You can also take a picture of your big idea and send it to your teachers so they can check your work. The other thing I want you guys to do before you go to small groups, either today or Monday or whatever, or Thursday, make sure that you guys are filling out this front page and filling out your Venn diagram comparing Anne Marie and Mike Guys. There are also some questions that attach to this close read, and make sure that you're going over those in small group with your teachers. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you guys next week. Have a good day.